much smoother that time.
Much smoother. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Love this smile. It's like, yes, it's working.
I know. I was like nervous. I'm on the computer, and I was like, well, I mean, in the worst case, my phone. I knew my phone would work, but
yeah.
The computer gets a little tricky.
I'm excited. I always love being a part of this space with you. It's great.
Thank you. Yeah. I always have a good time. And like, I didn't think, we're not gonna have no trouble talking, especially if other people are gonna join in and stuff.
There's going to be a few, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I did a couple earlier, like I got on here and like people was popping in and out, but then there were like times when I was on here by myself and I was just like, talking. Hi, God Creation. Somebody joined. We're gonna get started in just a few minutes. We know we had some few people that were gonna jump on and join us. We're just doing a little recovery meeting type thing. We're gonna read some literature, talk about passages, quotes, inspiration, all the good stuff. Feel free to stick around. Feel free to jump on screen if you want.
Hi.
Yeah, this is James. Yeah, my name's Leanna. I don't know if there's any way to like change the pictures around.
So as we're waiting, did someone paint those canvases in the background?
No, I bought them at the dollar store.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, they're nice. We got like, old school Spider-Man. Oh, hold on.
Yeah.
And then green, and then there's like a comic book cover type one over there. They're really cool. My husband is really into like Marvel and stuff like that, and and I found them at the Dollar General. They get them in every so often. And hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Great to see you again.
You too.
Dinner?
We end up having leftovers. I'm going to make dinner tomorrow because he's going to be working late. So I'm just going to save that big dinner for tomorrow.
She didn't want to share.
Yeah. It's like, I want the big steak.
We had leftover potato soup. It's cold here.
It's not too bad here, actually. We're pretty far down in Kentucky, and it's actually been pretty warm the past few days. Like, it was super cold. It snowed. We had a really good snow. Went up on the mountain and all this stuff, and then it was warm.
Yeah, we had enough to like cover the ground, and that was really about it. Like, if it's going to be cold, it's got to be snow.
All right, so we got about 5 people in here. We can go ahead and start. I don't know if we want to. The three of us, everybody's on the screen. We can introduce ourselves, and then we'll kind of start from there, I guess. My name's Leanna. I host a podcast called Feral But Sober, same as my screen name. It's very new, and I'm just kind of trying TikTok out. James is a friend of mine that we have met through the podcast, and he agreed to help me, so he can introduce himself a little bit.
Hi, I'm James. I'm a peer recovery supporter. I'm from Southeast Ohio area. I've been working with Leanna for the past month or so. She's invited me onto her podcast, which has been fantastic, being able to tell my story and just reach out to a lot of people in a larger radius. And, I'm excited to be here. Thank you for the invite again.
Yes. And then we have Miss Trinity, who's actually going to be on my show this weekend. I'm sorry, I don't know if you want me to use your name. I shouldn't have said that. I apologize.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
But I didn't even realize earlier who you were, but she is actually going to be on the show this weekend. So we had just recently met, but she saw this live and wanted to be a part of it. And, always want that. So you had a quote that you wanted to share to start us off, didn't you?
Me? Yes. So one of the ones that hit me the most earlier on, actually I have several quotes, so we can hit those up whenever you want. One of the most impactful ones for me was hearing that it's okay to not be okay. And that's by Maya Angelou. And it hit me deeply. I was in a counseling session in a sober living home, and I'm in there and I'm kind of like masking and I'm deflecting, and my counselor's just apparently just reading right through me at that point. It's like, oh, you're full of shit. And yeah, and he just said that one phrase, it's okay to not be okay. And I said, oh, I know, it's fine, it's all good. And then he said, no, it's really okay to not be okay. And I heard it again, and I still deflected. I was like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm all good, everything's great. And the third time he said it, like, I heard it, and it wrecked me. And I was having like this reaction where I couldn't breathe, and my chest got tight. And, that particular time in my life, I like to tell people, oh, yeah, I'm good. James is great. I'm doing all these things. Like, I got this going for me, this going for me. These are all like surface level things that I had put in place to kind of shroud the hurt that I was feeling. And so when someone come passing by, oh yeah, James is doing all these awesome things, but really deep down I was not cool. So being able to accept the fact that sometimes life is just tough, and we have to go through some of these really deep, painful things to come to the other end of things. It's okay to not be okay, because we don't always need to be okay. We can feel that pain. We can relate to other people. And that's one of the best ways to relate to other people and feel is accepting.
Yeah, it definitely, and that is something that is hard to grasp. That, like, especially some of us as addicts in my addiction, I had a super tough mentality. So, like, it was not okay to not be okay. You know what I mean? In my mind. And so, like, to get used to that, yeah, like, it was a stress, like, yeah, some days are going to be tough, and going and getting high is not the answer. You know what I mean? It's not going to be there as a crutch. And so, like, and accepting that, learning how to cope with that too is, a whole nother thing.
100%.
So Josh,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I keep saying people's name dropping everybody, but he actually wrote the book that we're going to be reading out of tonight. So I'm super excited to have him here.
Hey. Yeah, and thank God I'm not okay, because if I was okay, I would never change. Growth don't come from comfort. Growth comes from, uncomfortability, so thank God that I wasn't okay.
Yeah. Well, James, if you want to go ahead and share another one, I'm going to find the passage I want to read.
Absolutely. Okay. So I got this one locked in. It's this is by J.K. Rowling. Rock bottom became the solid foundation from which to rebuild my life. Okay. So, like many of us who hit rock bottom, we can only go up from there, and especially the past 5 years, which, I've disclosed several times, but there's been so much growth. I really didn't understand what it meant to actually hit rock bottom, because in the other times in my life, I hadn't actually lost everything. Start over, sure, new friends or new things I had to do, new job, all that. But hitting rock bottom spiritually was a whole new level of things. Feeling completely like I had to start from the very beginning and rebuild absolutely every aspect of my being. That was really difficult, but also where I had felt the most growth. So it became a solid foundation from which I could rebuild the rest of my life. Once I reached that spot, I began to actually feel the new purpose and the new hope. When I had gotten to that point of, all of those values and morals that I had just thrown out the window all that time, well, now I can start repairing that and becoming the person that I really wanted to be, from like a clean slate in a whole different new way, spiritually, physically, mentally, all the things, even like interpersonally, and how I communicate with other people. So being able to redefine myself was pretty awesome and liberating, being able to start fresh in every aspect of my life. I had to get that field.
You're cutting it out so bad, but I think I got the gist of that. But yeah, absolutely. Like, if we use rock bottom as a rock foundation, that's great. I've never heard that before, and that is a great way to look at it. Like, it can be a solid foundation if we, so choose it to be. Do you know Caleb? He's watching. Hi, Caleb.
My dude.
Yeah, he said he knows you.
Yep.
So,
we spent some time together, like 4.5 years in Mansfield prison. He was my neighbor, my recovery buddy. He was my co-facilitator, my co-bullshit signer. But he was sober with me, and appreciate you.
You said a lifetime. Yes. Well, I'm so glad. I'm so glad that you guys had each other. That's awesome.
Yeah, we did.
So the
Oh my
first
God.
passage I want to read is called Book of James Club. It says, "We walk around like we've got time to waste, like we are owed tomorrow. We put off healing, forgiveness, obedience, love, purpose for later. The book of James tells us tomorrow is not promised. Life is a mist, a puff of air in a cold morning, light in a cold morning light, there for a second and then gone. This isn't meant to scare us, it's meant to wake us up. That every minute matters. God is in control. Everything in this life is temporary. When you get to the gates for judgment, God's going to ask you, what did you do with the time I blessed you with? Who did you help, or who did you just help with your own selfish needs? Or did you just help with your own selfish needs? The measure of success is not measured in the amount of money you can make. It's not based on material items of this world. It's measured on how many people did you take with you on the road to success. Who did you help? James isn't saying don't dream or plan. He's saying make God part of your plan. Stay humble, stay grateful, stay present. Pride says, I'll fix it tomorrow. Faith says, if God wakes me up, I'll do it his way. James 1:22. Do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says. Don't just hear it, live it. Walk it like you talk it. God, help me hear it, live it, and walk it the way of the Son. Amen. And that really put me in the reason that I wanted to share that is because it put me in mind of something my friend said to me on one of my shows that something to the effect of, I think it's another recovery quote, but something to the effect of like, it's not how much clean time you have in, but what you do with the time that counts, or something like to that effect. And that really spoke to me because I have been clean for like 7 years, and I'm just now getting in. You know what I mean? Yeah. Thank you. But I'm just now getting like active with my podcast and getting. I'm just now starting to get into the recovery field. Like I kind of like neglected my recovery for a while. I just like forgot about it, put it on a shelf, focused on life and work and all the things, and I suffered, and I really did suffer from it because I was like just ignoring such a big part of my life and so many of my experiences, and I knew that I had to do something. Like I was getting like literally depressed because I was just like forgetting a whole part of my life like it never happened. So like I think that in helping people, like I think that's what we're supposed to do, especially like God didn't save us, me, for everything that I've done and everything that I've been through for no reason. Like there's a reason that I'm here, and I think it's to help people. And so that's why that really spoke to me. You have anything to say about what you wrote, Josh?
Yeah. Somebody told me that's where I wrote that. Somebody told me well, AA was first called the Book of James Club before they named it AA, and then I was like, well, let me go read Book of James, and then I read Book of James, and then I wrote that night, and so many times that like I part time God, you know what I'm saying, and I kept getting part time blessings, and God doesn't really do part time hours, so I couldn't expect full time blessings from part time obedience.
Yeah, I've never heard that either, but that's like that song, you know what I mean? Like, I can't think of the words. I'm so nervous. I couldn't even read. But yeah, like, why, just what you
You're
said, like, God
good.
doesn't help us when I'm stuttering because I'm trying to think of them words so bad.
Which is
Somebody needs a mute.
God, creation joined us. I don't know who this is, but they've missed. Okay, good. They muted us or muted their microphone.
Somebody needs a mute.
Yeah, he did. He muted it.
Wow. But yeah, too much often God is just our emergency contact, and that's the way it's been with me until, rock bottom happened again. And I was like, okay, I did it wrong the first time. Let me get it right this time.
Yeah. Because me, especially in my addiction, I was quick to, I'd be throwing them prayers out there if the cops got in my rear view or something. But any other time, I was, but any other time, I was not, and that's why I didn't receive the blessings and God didn't set me on the path for me that He had planned out because I was not ready. Because obviously, If my prayers are literally like, please don't let me go to jail, but while I'm still sick, then obviously I'm not ready for where he wants me to be.
Yeah, it ain't always the devil that takes us out. Sometimes God uses a storm to beat us into a state of reason. Uh, if you read the Old Testament, he's all about some wrath sometimes in there. I love the Old Testament.
Yeah.
And he will use the storm to beat us into a state of reason, to reset you, to put you on the path you're supposed to be on. And most of the time that's backwards. We think it's backwards, but really it's going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I can speak to that from experience because, I lost my dad, and that is really what made me stay clean. And normally, like, you would think that would have done me in, but I was in jail at the time when it actually happened, and probably for the best. But that is what really, oh God, this is where, I knew so many people that died from overdosing and just from addiction in general. But my dad, that was so close to home that it was just but in that such a terrible storm, I mean, it was such an awful experience to lose my dad, and especially while I was in jail. But God used that, he knew what he was doing. He had plans, and that was part of him. And even though, it was a terrible experience to get there, it was necessary, I think.
Yeah.
That was a really good passage that you, I'm going to chime in, that you had read there. There's so much to unpack there with what you just read. And I appreciate you writing, that in your book, because it's pretty powerful. So there's a couple of things that, how many people did you help? That was one of the key points that was mentioned, and that ties into one of the other quotes that I wrote down. Is the opposite of addiction is not necessarily sobriety, but it's human connection. And one of the ways that I make amends to people is to continue this path and to be authentic and genuine with my resolve of helping others and staying sober. And to piggyback off of what you were saying, Leon, was that, you just now started this, reaching out, but I'm gonna rebuttal that because you started this a long time ago. You had to get a solid foundation before you were able to reach that point. And we're all on different paths. So when you were ready is when you were ready, and now look at you now. You know what I mean? So it took me years to be able to be confident enough to be able to do a podcast, to be able to be on live, to be able to be out of prison and reshape my worldview, to be able to get spiritually sound, to be able to, have enough sobriety in my belt where I could someone who's in active use, actively right in front of me, or be in a house that there's some stuff going on. I don't even think twice about what's going on behind me because I'm so solid with who I am now in my support group. So it's through that connection and being able to relate to other people for me, where like you or the nonprofit stuff that I do, or just being able to talk to other people and being able to relate to those stories. And yeah, another thing that you had written in there was that tomorrow is not promised, and that isn't just to scare you, but it's kind of like to wake you up, to light a fire in your ass. Take advantage of the time you still have, regardless of whether it's 2 months or 6 days or 2 years or 5 years. It doesn't matter, because all it takes is one simple sentence and one time being present, humble, grateful, and present, which you also mentioned. I love that this passage you wrote, because it can change their life. Just being, not saying anything, just being a solid energy for somebody, regardless of whether you're elevated like me or a little bit more composed. It doesn't really matter. Just being there can make a difference in ways that we can't even see ourselves, because there are people out there that are looking for that light, who don't know how to get that light. But when they see somebody who has either a justice impact, a mental illness, substance use disorder, or just a challenge past, who have transcended past the challenges that kept them back, they're like, man, I knew that person from the past. I know their story. How did they get there? That's an inspiration, flat out. And I don't care how many years it takes for someone like us to be able to get to that point, but we can help those people along the way. I love it. Okay.
Absolutely. I even love when I see people that I used with, or that was I knew in my addiction, that are clean now, and even if it's somebody that I didn't necessarily get along with or whatever, I'm like, wow, or people that I never thought would get there, and I'm so happy that they are. But I don't know if I want to be clear. All the passages that I read read. Well, I did some earlier today too, but are from a book that actually Josh wrote, the Dopeless Fiend, and it's called The Flip Side: Different Sides of the Same Coin, and it's on Amazon for sale. And he has a second book out too. I have not got to read it yet, but I'm sure it's just as good. But every one of his little passages is like derived from something in his life that he has, either experienced or saw, witnessed, whatever. And then he like weaves a little bit of like scripture in there, just enough to where I myself do believe in God as my higher power, but everybody doesn't. And it's just enough in there where it's not like crammed down your throat, but he puts it in at the end to show the connection, because for those of us that God is our higher power, it's very, very important. But I love the way he does it, and he mixes it in. And I just wanted to be clear for anybody watching that didn't know where these are coming from, in case they wanted to check out more.
Thank you so much for clarifying that.
Yeah, and chime in if anyone has anything to say about the passage that we read, or anything that I say, James says, Josh says. By all means, please chime in. This is meant to be a group conversation.
So yeah, Josh, where can you pick that book up?
Amazon.
Amazon?
Yeah.
I'm writing it down, so can we say it just a little bit slower for me and maybe the people that are watching too?
If you just type in Dopeless Dope Fiend on Amazon, it'll pop up. It's my author.
The book is called The Flip Side: Different Sides of the Same Coin. I thought the whole time he was on my show, the whole episode, I kept saying, what did I say? The flip side of the coin, I think, or something. Like, he messaged me after and was like, "It's just so you know, that's not the book title." I was like, "Oh, whoops." I had to go through.
It's all good.
What was your inspiration to bring this together? How long did it take you to write it? Why did you write it? Was there a turning point? Can you speak to a little bit about that?
Yeah.
There's a lot there, I know.
I don't like to speak my God stories often, but so I wouldn't prepare, but I'll do my best because I try to respect God and what He did in my life. And but I was reading Bill's story. I relapsed and got a DUI, and they sentenced me to a long-term treatment center, which was another God thing. The prosecuting attorney had a freak accident the day before. And they put some filler in. They broke the law, sentencing me. And I was like, there's nothing on my record anymore. I've been clean for so long that my record got expunged. So nothing screamed to this dude.
Oh, no.
Enough to know you want me to do something. So I started reading Bill's story, and I got this like flood of information. Everything I've learned in recovery come all of me at once. It was real emotional. I can't describe it unless you had one of those feelings. It felt like a warm blanket being wrapped around me. And I was like, I don't know what this means. And then 2 days later, I walk out and I see 5 crosses in the sky. And these 5 crosses were cracks in the cloud, perfectly shaped as 5 crosses. Okay? I looked up and I was like, that's crazy. I'm going to go get somebody to take a picture of this. I was in the building for 10 seconds, maybe, grab somebody to come and take a picture. And when I got back, all the clouds were gone. There was one cloud left in the sky. And the guy looked at me. I was like, I'm not crazy, bro. And he said, I think it was just an open door, because before that, God was the biggest opinion in my life. And after that, God has been the biggest fact in my life. And then I just started writing, and then a pastor said, man, you have a devotional here. And I was like, okay. And then it just naturally just came together. And I wish I could give it to people for free. I give it like every time I get paid, I have to buy the books that cost, and I give it away. But if I see you, I have a book for you. I give it to anybody that I come across.
Yeah, the book. I mean, guys, I'm telling you, I wholeheartedly believe, like with my whole heart, that it will be the next basic text or whatever, big book or whatever for whatever, because it is so inspiring. Like, it had. What's the story about the hoodie? What's the name of that one?
Nike hoodie.
I'm gonna read that one. I like that one really. I bet it's gonna make me probably cry. And I mean, I love because they're so real. Like how Trinity was talking earlier about just like talking about the real and the raw. Like that these stories they don't sugarcoat. You can tell that it's real experiences. Like hold on, let me find it.
Yeah, this is what caught me on this.
Yeah, and I'm glad that that's the point is that I wanted to do something different because I think that everybody heals different and that's fine. But for me, talking about the real stuff that
It's
happens.
page 104.
Okay, good. That's what I was just scrolling away.
Hey, came in clutch.
Yeah.
All right.
There's that down.
Nike hoodie. Okay. Well, you were talking about your God experience. Caleb, that's watching, he said he had a similar experience with God. So, absolutely, I think that everyone in recovery at some point, and maybe you haven't yet, but will experience some kind of spiritual, awakening or feeling, and that's when I think it starts to really feel warm and cozy, or did for me. All right, so Nike hoodie.
If I may, I want to commend you for, having the faith-based obedience because in recovery we focus a lot on, the program and what we're doing for the program, but sometimes we lose sight of, what changed our hearts, what softened our hearts to get to this moment where we can give it all up. So having the obedience and it being faith-based, that is huge. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I say it all the time. God is the solution. We're not. We just show up and testify that the solution is real and it works. Bill gave us a blueprint to get to God. I believe. That's my belief. And God is the solution. Even Carl Jung, who was a big part of AA, in the book, they talk about him. They don't say his name, but he said, for people like us, it's vital for you to have a spiritual experience to change. There's no way I can fix you. He was greatest of all time, But he said that people like us, there's nothing, we can't fix anybody. But if you have a spiritual experience, there are some that have had that and they have changed. And that's the only way that you can change.
Yep, absolutely. Like God, yeah, there are just so many. I don't know. There's times in my life too, especially like with my addiction, where there's no other explanation than God. You know what I mean? Like for sure, like
But God.
yeah, like nothing, like literally. I had my guest this weekend, that was on the show Saturday. She said that she had tried to, unalive herself, and she went out into the middle of the woods with a bunch of stuff and did her thing, and woke up 18 hours later. She said on the ground, freezing cold, but she woke up, and I'm like, yeah, there's only one explanation for that, like, and that's God, like and there's been so many times in my life like that, woke up in parking lots and bathrooms and I don't know, different things, just where there's no excuse, nothing but God. Like, I rolled at the beginning of August. I rolled a vehicle with all three of my children inside, and it was raining. Somebody had their blew a gasket right in this curve by our house, and then it started raining right after that. I didn't know. I come around that curve on the way home, rolled it over with my. All three of us walked out of there. Like, that's only could be God. The car looks like it just, I don't know, got ran over by a Mack truck or something, and there's no explanation but God. Like, I don't know.
And that's just so beautiful that you can share that testimony too. Like, because like you guys were just saying, it's all about who we get to take with us. We have to save souls. We have to show them through recovery that God is real. He is here for us. We're sober, but we're still very much alive because of God. So it's so important to share that so that and I commend you all for doing this. This is fantastic.
Absolutely. Do you know, Trinity, do you know a Jasmine? She's watching. She says you're her mama.
Yeah, that's my baby.
All right. Well, Jasmine, thank you for watching. Okay, I'm going to read this Nike hoodie comment. It says, Nike hoodie. God sent a 19-year-old kid to save my life without either of us knowing it. Back in 2016, I was in a long-term treatment center, still running on my pride and ego. My sponsor walked into my room and said, "Man, you got a lot of nice clothes. What's your favorite hoodie?" Without thinking, I pointed to my brand new Nike hoodie, tag still on it. He looked at me and asked, "Do you want to get sober?" I said, "Of course." He said, "Then donate it to the clothing closet." Now listen, I wasn't the giving type. I wasn't capable of a selfless act. If he told me who it was going to, I'd have made a show of it. I'd have wanted to be praised. I would have made sure everyone knew I gave it up just so I could remind them later and maybe use it to get something back. That's who I was. That's how I operated. But he didn't tell me. He just told me to let it go. After some colorful language and a bruised ego, I did. Weeks later, this quiet 19-year-old kid shows up to group wearing my hoodie. He always sat near me and my boys, and I swore he was doing it to flex. I thought, this dude knows it's mine, and he's rubbing it in my face. So naturally, I told my friends not to talk to him. Because back then, Josh was the center of the damn universe. Self-seeking, prideful, always watching how things could benefit me. But after a while, the kid wore me down with his silence. One day I said, "Hey man, you can speak to us, you know." He looked at me and said, "I'm just shy, but I really want what y'all got." It hit just like a bullet to the chest. I said, "Nice hoodie." He said, "Thanks, man. Can you believe it came from the clothing closet? Still had the tag on it. I've never owned a Nike hoodie before. Ooh, grew up in foster care. All I ever wore were hand-me-downs. I damn near broke. I went into the bathroom and cried like a baby. That moment wrecked me because God and my sponsor had set the whole thing up, not to embarrass me, not to punish me, but to teach me what real giving looks like. That kid didn't know the story. He didn't know that hoodie used to be mine. He didn't know God was using him as a mirror to show me who I was and who I still had the chance to become. He got a hoodie, and I got a new heart. He got something he never had. I lost something I never needed. And in that loss, I gained everything." Scripture. "If you give what you have to the poor and do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you." Oh my God. I
still get emotional. I still get emotional.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a good one. And I think like I can relate to that in so many ways, especially like, you know, oh, we come in like wearing the hoodie and then you were like, you know, being mean to him. Like that is so something I would do. And then just to, I don't know, like God did that. God set you up. Like
He did.
he knows what he's doing, man.
Yeah. Hey,
He's on time all the time.
Yes. So the softening of your heart, praise Jesus. Yes, absolutely.
Talk about being used as a vessel without even knowing.
Yeah.
You know?
I call it the Mr. Miyagi effect. You know what I mean? My sponsor did to me. He was doing things, and I was like I was prepping for a karate tournament I never signed up for. You know, but it wasn't about buffing cars. It was about buffing my soul. You know.
Absolutely.
So to piggyback off of that, like I get that feeling of feeling humbled and being a part of something much bigger than myself when I volunteer. And I haven't done a lot, but I've done some since I've been out. And to those who do volunteer, soup kitchens, or try to build the clothing closet for those in need, like I've been there, and I've been in those spots where I needed a bowl of soup, whether just a little bit of something in it to just warm the belly. I've needed clothes on my back in a way that, I mean, I didn't have any other way, and I couldn't go to anybody because I didn't know how to get there, or I felt too embarrassed to accept secondhand throwdowns or whatever it was. And to those service workers out there, I know it wasn't directly about service work, but that is what he did. Is he donated the hoodie in the end, and he didn't flaunt it, he didn't tout about it. You know, when it came full circle, and wow, that was powerful. I can just relate to that. And I wanted to shout out a big thank you to those who do give. Yeah, you know, the impact that it's made in my own life. And I have a friend who might be watching now that was just talking about going out and doing some service work. I think it was today or yesterday, and it's just that's how the person and I met originally, was being able to relate to what do you like to do? I like to volunteer. No way, me too. And get somebody that you like. There's no better feeling than to be able to connect to another human being and be able to be able to them. in a way that you can be the silent warrior in the background in the kitchen. You can unlock the back door. You can park the pops, whatever it is. And it's just awesome. And I'll pass on that.
Yeah. If he wanted to tell me to donate to the clothing closet, I would have waited to the house meeting, and I would have picked the person I gave it to and made sure everybody. I would have made a show out of it. Like I said, I would have said, wait until everybody got quiet and said, hey, anybody need a hoodie? Oh, there you go. I just did not know how to do a selfless act, and my sponsor knew I would have screwed it up. So he goes, I'm gonna fix it for you. I'm gonna make sure it's real easy for you to learn how to do a selfless act. And then God stepped in and said, here you go. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, God played right into your sponsor's hand there. You know what I mean? He put another unsuspecting vessel right in the path. Like,
yeah, I firmly believe this. God works through people. We need the horizontal connection to Him. And like you said, I say it all the time, the opposite of sobriety or addiction isn't recovery or sobriety, it's connection. We need that perpendicular connection to other people. And when we open our hearts, God shows up and puts us right in the mouth with compassion and puts us on a path if we're ready to listen,
Yeah, absolutely. I thought that you were the one that said that to me before. When James said just a little bit ago, I was like, I've heard that before. And I saw you nodding, and I was like, I bet it was him. I'm excited to have you both on here because you both are very knowledgeable and very well spoken about recovery and stuff. So I was really excited when you both agreed to be on here tonight because I thought.
Yeah, I'm glad to meet you too, man.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I'll send you a friend request on Facebook.
His last name.
That story kind of takes you back to a passage in James where it says, blessed is the man that endures temptation. I think it's safe to say you were tempted in that moment to be your old self and react a different way. But because God had softened your heart to that moment, and in that teaching process, just such a beautiful story, a good testimony to give to people.
Thank you.
I recognize that voice, by the way. Thank you for joining.
Happy to be here. Be here fasting with the Lord and just talking to y'all, learning scripture too. Appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
All right, who's up?
So, Josh, Deanna was just about to get ready to say, my last name's Barr, Barr, and you can get a hold of her to reach out, by the way, to connect. Absolutely. And anybody else who is listening or guesting, absolutely, anytime, any day. I'm all about collaboration. I'm all about hearing stories. I'm all about hearing your journey and sharing those relatable experiences, because what you can share with me only strengthens me. And being able to be a part of your journey every day that you are either struggling or succeeding only brings me fuel and energy to keep on my resolve and doing what I'm doing. So, all about it.
Yes.
Yes. My last name is Evans. Tag us on a Facebook post, so I know your last name was Barr.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not techie yet, but Leanna's getting me kind of up to par. Like, this is out of my league right now, but hey, we're doing it, right?
I know. TikTok's a little bit out of my league. You should have seen us earlier. Well, you were here, but...
We got through it, though.
Okay. If anyone doesn't have anything else about the hoodie, I'm going to read another one. This one's called Call 911. Getting sober.
As long as it don't make me cry.
I knew that one. I thought it would get you. It got me. When he shared that on my podcast, my husband was in the other room, and he literally walked all the way back in and was he had to walk behind my computer so he could see, and he was crying, and I was like, I know.
It still makes me cry when I say it.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a for sure God right there. All right.
Yeah.
So, call 911. Getting sober is like finally stepping out of a burning house. You're no longer in immediate danger, but now you have to rebuild what was lost inside. It's the starting point where healing, growth, and true freedom begin. Getting sober is a starting point. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away. Behold, the new has come. 2 Corinthians 5:17. Getting sober isn't the finish line, it's the starting point. Sobriety cracks the door open to a whole new life, but we still have to walk through it. Many of us thought putting the drink or the dope down would fix everything. And yes, that's huge. But staying sober and learning how to live free is a process. The truth is, once we put it down, we face ourselves, our pain, our past, our guilt, and our shame. That's where God steps in. Sobriety gives us a chance to let Him rebuild the parts of our life that addiction destroyed. It's not about just not using, it's about becoming whole. So don't stop at the starting line. Keep running the race. Sobriety is the beginning, but freedom, healing, and purpose are the journey ahead. Prayer. Father, thank you for bringing me to this starting point. Sobriety is a gift, and I don't take it lightly, but I know this is only the beginning of what you want to do in my life. Help me to keep pressing forward, to trust you in the hard days, and to let you rebuild what was broken. I give you my life one day at a time. Somebody said, I don't know. Oh, I don't. It says I'm not going to care. I don't know what that. I don't know. Okay, I thought it said something else. Anyways, the reason I wanted to read that though is because Trinity had said that she might know some people that might still be, in a bad state that might be watching this, and if that's the case, I wanted to share that passage, and I wanted to say that staying clean tonight is not going to make everything magically better tomorrow, but it is worth it, and it will get there. I don't know the words I'm trying to say, guys, help me out, but no, it's not, everything's not going to be magically, rainbows and sunshine, but if you put in the work, opportunities really do knock, doors open, just crazy things happen, opportunities you never thought that you would get. If you really put in the work and you stay sober, it does happen, and it is hard, and real life problems are still going to happen. People are going to pass away. We're going to have, arguments with our spouses and lose friends, but overall, the quality of life is better,
Yeah, just from somebody looking from the outside to just somebody walking past that think, oh, everybody's got their lives together, they got a home, they got a vehicle, but it's so much more internal that we still deal with, life on life spaces. It's not all sunshines and rainbows. It is very overwhelming. I'm coming up on 4 years, and I'm still learning how to live and communicate and learn how to talk to people and not be a people pleaser and do the right thing. And it's always a struggle. And doing the next right thing just keeps me going. But there is so many people out there that still, just think that it's going to change overnight, and it doesn't. I still struggle sometimes with, those intrusive thoughts that come in, oh, I can go do this one time and everything's going to be so much better, and it's going to relieve that pain that I'm so easy to be able to go give away that pain. And it's not. And, it's one day at a time. Reach out. There's always somebody out there to talk to that can help and can push through and can get you where you want to be. And you can have a good support system. And, recovery is becoming the vibe. It is becoming the everything right now. And I'm pushing for it. So let's go.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, I just lost I had something and I lost it, but yeah, thank you for that. And absolutely, everything doesn't magically get better, but it does get better. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah.
Go
Most
ahead.
days, most of my bad days are attributed to doubt. You start to question it, taking a few suggestions and sitting still is really the way. The more days I work through those days of doubt, you find out if you really want this or not. And the more of those days you work through, the less those days pop up on you. It's repetition. It's working through it. Bringing my head back where my feet are, staying in the moment is so huge because I'll start worrying about things that most of my life I spent worrying about things that never happened or worrying about things I can't control. And so that's where the daily inventories come in and be like, well, what can I do, or what am I missing, or or am I having a pity party just because an instinct is being affected right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to pick back up on all that stuff. So, and also on one of the comments where I think it said, I'm still not going to care, something like that. You know what? We're all going to care instead. If you can't care, we're going to do it for you, because you know what? Sometimes you got to let the rooms love you before you can love yourself. And flat out, I've walked into those rooms or walked into those meetings or walked into around people who I didn't give a rat's ass who I was or what I was doing, but I was there, and I actually resented being in some of those places. That I battled God, hearing the word God used to make me cringe back in the day. Like I just couldn't hear it, I couldn't accept it. It was such a deep spiritual battle that I was, and then all these people are like God this and God that, but you know what? They would come to me when they hugged me, and they would love me. I didn't even have to ask for help. It was they were doing the work for me, as all I needed to do was just show up. So to go back to that point that you had read where or that you spoke on that, where just being sober for that night, it is so powerful, because when was the last time you were sober for a night? And think about just what a couple of hours or what that stretch of time is from sleeping to waking up. How long has it been since you've been sober that long? And that's where, yeah, the work comes in. Sorry to say it, but the real work comes in just asking for a little bit of help. Hey, picking up that phone number and just letting somebody guide you and just talk some of those good things in your ear that you can do it. Hey, where can I go? What can I do? Let me be there by your side. Don't get off the phone with me. Tell me what your thoughts are. Let me hear that story. All those things. Every minute that passes by, you're also just being distracted from the thing that's been gripping you all that time. So if you can't care, that's okay. We're going to care for you. We know what it feels like, that warm blanket that Josh talked about, that connection that is the big theme about, whatever your higher power is, whether it be, God, or if you're more spiritually based or whatever, if it's principles, being able to connect to those to people that are showing that and just glowing with that energy. So that is, it does take a little bit of humility to show or to tell somebody, I am struggling. This hurts and this sucks. I need some help. But there are, like Trinity was saying, there are people surrounding you that you don't even know about. You just got to pick up the phone and be like, hey, help me through this, and we're there. And if we can't physically be there, I know I can direct you to somebody who can. And I know that if that person can't, then they can direct somebody, because like you spoke on a minute ago, it is the new vibe. Recovery is the new vibe. We don't need to be tied down to, I'm going on, sorry, but we don't need to be forever tied back any longer to the things that, burn our bridges, that made us feel horrible, hurting the friends, hurting the family, all of those things. I'm over it. Come on with us. That's what I'm saying.
Yep. And if and even after this meeting, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, I'm everywhere. Reach out to me. I know James feels the same way. At anytime, anybody, if you want to talk, whatever, I'm here. If you need help, like you said, finding the resources, please by all means reach out. I wanted to say congratulations to the Jazzy Bunny '06. She said I picked up my 4-year sobriety coin at a meeting 2 months ago. It was such an amazing feeling. I would never go back. I'm strong. Wait, I would never go back. That feeling and sickness was terrible, and I don't want to feel it again, and I won't. All I did was eat pickles. It was terrible. My recovery has been beautiful, and I'm proud of my mom. Oh, Caleb said congratulations. James said, yeah. So yeah, definitely congratulations. And I feel the same way. I would never, like, I was saying that today. I was talking to my husband about, talking about like the further you get in recovery, your statistically of relapsing kind of goes down. And I said, I feel that because I just don't even have a desire anymore. Like, I'm to the point to where it's just been so long. Like, I don't even remember what it's like. I remember it being awful, and that's what I keep telling myself. Like, instead of telling myself like, "Oh, it was so cool," and I felt so good, I'm like, "Dude, it was awful," and I looked stupid all the time, walking around with my eyes closed. Like,
Personally, guys, I can remember those nights of saying that I'm not going to care and then wanting someone to just breathing on the other end of a phone just so that I, like, not words. Don't need your words. Just genuinely be there to be a living human, level, if you will, because I'm over here struggling. I may have just took my last shot, and just didn't want to do it anymore. And it's just one of those where, even the ones that can't handle the conversation, there's someone that will breathe on the other end of it.
Yeah, we don't have to talk.
We will breathe with you through this. Yeah.
Yeah, we can get on a FaceTime and stare at each other if you want. if that's what you need to get you through the night or the hour, like, hey, I'm down, because I agree. I've been there, and I didn't really have a lot of support. Like, and when I've kind of, like I said, I've been clean for about 7 years. So, like, recovery wasn't really that big back then. You know what I mean? It wasn't like everywhere, and everyone wasn't doing it. Everyone was still out there getting high. So it just wasn't, I don't know, it wasn't, so the resources weren't so readily available. Like, I encourage y'all, take advantage. Like, help is everywhere. There are so many people willing to help, or even just to listen, even if they're not like qualified, credentialed persons. Like, there are still so many people that will listen and direct you in the right place and just be there for you. Like, so many people. James, you want to share anything of your anything that any of your passages or anything that you had?
I have another quote. Okay. Let's see. This one is by Johann Hari. If I'm slaughtering the name, my bad. It's a Russian writer. Addiction is an adaptation. It's not. It's not you. It's just the cage that you decide to live in. You can move past that. So it's an adaptation of your environment. I didn't go into, the reason why it hit me heavy is because I didn't go into wanting to be an addict. Okay. I went in to be one of those social people, and, it snowballed. So for me, it was a little bit of pot, whatever. And then, but the problem with that was I don't have a filter. I don't have that warning, danger zone, that I think that a lot of people out there do have. And so it was like all of that past trauma, all of that wanting to suppress, all of that wanting to just feel normal. Oh God, now here it comes. Here's that superficial warm blanket through whatever device you're using to make you feel that way, And instead, as Josh was talking about, instead of that warm feeling of just that blanket, that comfort that you get naturally from your higher power or by doing the right thing, because I had been wanting to suppress those things for so long. So when I adapted the non-sober lifestyle, then I became the addict, because for me, it was off to the races. And here's all these things that I was able to do in the beginning, and I had all these aspiring thoughts and paths I was going down. And then for me, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate, it was, there's James now under the bridge just days later, and it was bad. There was no coming back. And so literally I would have to go to jail for it to save my life. Every time that I went to jail, like Leanna and we talked in the past, where we got our weight back up, we kind of got our heads back together, but then it was doing things out there, which was difficult, paying the bills, dealing with the kids, or going to school, or having to show up and be present. Well, you still have a lot of those things that you haven't accepted about yourself all of those years. It was too much. Hey, let's feel numb again. Let's get that superficial warm blanket, because I don't have to put in as much work. And by the way, I'm not asking for help from people either. So yeah, so it's an adaptation, and it's not who you are. It's the addiction. So whenever I did nefarious things, or whenever I did bad things morally to the bounds of morality, or to compromise my values, that wasn't who I was. That was what addiction was. And I can see the addiction in all the people that are struggling, who also I can relate to, those values and morals being compromised. oh, you did that too, but that's not you, bro. You did that too. That's not you. And I can be able to see the actual person now as a and what they want to be, because that's who they truly are. And addiction, all of that is all the same. You can aspire to be something better, and it's all going to be unique and different and wonderful. But I can always pinpoint those addiction stigmas where, I mean, I can relate to that. Yeah.
Yeah, I always say that I'm really addicted to drugs. I'm addicted to changing the way I feel. You know, whether I wrote some in my second book. Can I read it?
Yeah.
But it says, I used to think that I was addicted to drugs, but that was just the surface. The truth is, I was addicted to changing the way I feel. It wasn't just the dope. It was sex, food, gambling, shopping, anything that gave me a quick hit of different. I didn't care if it was good or bad, as long as it wasn't me. I felt comfortable in chaos because chaos was my normal. Peace felt foreign. Stillness made me squirm. You know, like, I'll stop here for a second. Like, quiet could sound louder than a gunshot if you're not used to it. You know, freedom is heavy if you ain't used to it. But I wasn't chasing pleasure. I was running from pain, from the shame, the guilt, the emptiness that came from when the noise stopped. I thought if I could just keep spinning, I'd never have to face myself. But no matter how far I ran, I always end up right back where I started. Same brokenness, same pain, same story. The drugs, the sex, the food, the chaos, none of it fixed the hole in me, in my soul. It just made me deeper. That's where step one smacked me in the face. We admitted we were powerless over our addiction and that our lives had become unmanageable. Powerless, that word used to sound weak, but it turned out to be the strongest thing I ever said. Because once I stopped pretending I had it all under control, God finally stepped in. Then step two reminded me that I wasn't beyond repair. It came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. I spent years trying to fix myself with the same broken tools that kept breaking me. God doesn't use duct tape and denial. He reveals from the inside out. And step three, that's where things started to shift. I made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God. I finally realized I didn't have to be the one in control anymore. I could hand it over. I could stop running. I could breathe. God didn't come to numb my pain. He came to heal it. He didn't take away my feelings. He sat with me in them. And that's where I finally found peace, not in the high, not in the noise, but in his presence. The Lord is near the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Psalms 34:18.
So good.
So good.
Wow, I cannot wait to get this book.
Yeah, the book he just read from is called something else. It's called what's it called? A Friend of Bill.
A Friend of a Carpenter and a Guy Named Bill.
Yep. And
You're so
I haven't even read that one, but I'm super excited to get it. I'm gonna buy it when I get paid this week. But man, just everything that and it's so like, I guess it's because you can tell their real story. Like, it's real, raw. He's very, the things that he says, like, they're just so spot on. Like, it's just so, I don't know. He captured it very.
Yeah, the first time I got so sober, I wouldn't admit some things in public, but I think it's important that we do, because I think the most important thing we can offer this world isn't perfection. And that's what I thought before, is transparency. You know, when one person stands up and says, this is what I've been through, it gives other people the courage just to whisper it, me too.
Yeah, absolutely. That's like, when we're just in our early recovery, like, yeah, we're still like in denial. I've done some horrible stuff, you know what I mean? And like, coming to terms with that and learning how to like accept those things about myself without getting high, to numb the guilt and the shame, I guess. Like, that took a lot. Like, that was a whole nother process inside of itself to. And I think it's so important, that's the whole point of like my podcast, is to share the things, to be like, again, I know we have to be careful not to get stuck in the mess and not to stay there, but like, it's so important to own up to the things that we did, not for other people but for ourselves. Like, we can't heal from something if we can't own it and sit with it. Like, and other people can't heal from like I know for myself that was such a big barrier for me in seeking treatment and getting clean, is because I really thought that I was too far gone, that I have done too wrong. I had been, I've been on drugs so long. I never knew anything else. Like it's going to be so hard to, didn't just have to get clean. I had to learn how to be a whole person and a whole adult and all of the things that I was, I was so afraid of it. And so I think it's important for people to know that, we've done some of the same things some of the same low down dirty things. I've done them, guys, and here I am 7 years sober. So like it is possible.
Yeah. Yeah, I always used to say, well, this is back in 2016, I didn't even know how to tie my shoes sober. I literally was high every day of my life from 11 to 34.
Yes.
I didn't take no days off from my addiction. That's just what I did,
Right.
And then everything else was second.
Yeah, you have to learn how to do everything, like being in a relationship, sex. Even like getting paid. Like, what do you do with your money if it doesn't all just go to the dope boy? How do you manage bills? Like that's, I'm like, I had one bill and now I have to, ration it out. Like it's so much. It's so overwhelming. But like you get there one day at a time. That is real. Like not even one day. Sometimes that's too overwhelming, guys. Take it 1 second if we have to. Like sometimes that, for me, that is how I do. Like I just have to be right here in the moment. Like if I really start getting overwhelmed and like, because for me, I don't have a lot of physical cravings and triggers. Like my triggers are my emotions. So like when I get there in my mind and I can feel myself like wanting to go there, and I just be here, right here, look around at my kids, and my husband and my dog or my job or wherever I'm at, you know what I mean? And just think about where I would be if I went back. And that's kind of, what helps me, is just being in the moment, right here, right now, present.
Yeah, those are the moments when I find myself like ungrateful feeling. And then I have to take a step back and take that breath and be like, I'm actually grateful for this clean and sober mess that I live today. I would not exchange it for my best day out there on the streets, and it's, I definitely understand where you're coming from for that.
I feel that, like I said, last month, my kids were sick for like literally 3 weeks. Like it was like one thing after another, ending with a stint of pink eye from the baby. Like I kept having to cancel appointments. I'm pretty sure people thought I was lying because I was like, my kids have been sick for 3 weeks. And I was so stressed out, and I did remind myself of that. Like, no matter how bad it is, like I'm clean and sober. My best day high is, think about that. Like even my best day high was not as bad as, you all know where I'm going with that.
My best day high is not better than my worst day sober.
There you go. There's the word.
Yes.
Yeah.
James, you have anything else?
Man, I love you guys.
Yes.
Flat out, I appreciate it. This was good for me. Like everybody who shared, everybody who was just present here, and I needed this in a big way. It was nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you, man. I really appreciate you. I think it's enough.
Before we leave, I want to say, Jasmine, thank you. She said she's proud of all of us, and God bless us all. So thank you for that. We're also proud of you.
Yeah, that's my daughter, and I'm super proud of her. She's changed her life completely around. Like, her recovery started by watching mine, and you don't realize the people that are actually watching you in the shadows. So God bless everybody, and just keep pushing forward.
Yes, absolutely. Well, guys, we're going to try to do this again sometime.
This is amazing.
Me and James are kind of like trying to figure it out when we can, but we'll keep everybody posted, and we'll make posts and stuff when we do this again. I hope I'm going to do again tomorrow. Hopefully James, I think we talked about, he doesn't have a lot planned tomorrow, so we're going to try to work it out as well. I love having him on here. Josh, it's always good to have the author here. I always like to hear his insight. I love to hear where the stories come from. Yeah.
Thank you, man.
I know.
Yeah.
James was excited when I told him earlier today. We was on the phone, and I said the author is going to pop in, and he said, "Oh, really?" And I said, "Yeah." He's a friend of mine, and he said, "Oh, that's so cool," And I said, "Yeah, I love when he's here discussing his book, because we get to we can ask the questions like you're like, oh, what inspired that? How long did it take? Like all the stuff that I would be like."
Yeah, everything that I write about came from a conversation. through people. That's why it's so important. Like when people message me on social media about, their addictions or whatever, and I try to be helpful, right? But I also tell them you need to go to a meeting and get that one-on-one, because just trying to get it on social media, that's another form of isolation. It's okay and it's good that you're reaching out, but like you need to go do that one-on-one in public. Like you look at somebody in their eyes and talk to them. That's so important, because if you just try to stay away from people, well, then you're just isolating. You're not doing nothing. If you feel uncomfortable, good. That's where growth starts. You need to go get busy getting uncomfortable.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw. I was doing some research earlier, and I saw they said like virtual treatment programs have like a 30% higher like retention rate, and like a 75% higher like engagement rate. And like that's all good and well, but like I think you're right. I think like at some point we need to get out there like that. I think contributes to some people's like mental health, and then in turn their addiction, is if you just isolate a lot. And I'm not saying that it's I think it's a great thing. A lot of people have transportation barriers and all that, but like also you have to get some like human contact too.
Yeah, James said it. Opposite addiction, connection.
Broke down. Like either I've given somebody a hug and they like start shaking, or I've been in the same spot where they've given me a hug and I just kind of just crumble. So yeah, 100% that connection with people. There's meaning.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was just quoting you at the beginning. You said that, and I said I think that's big. It's opposite addiction is connection. You gotta have it.
The God creation, she said, I wasn't chasing pleasure, I was running from pain. Phew, that hits hard. Yes, definitely. And then Caleb said, good stuff, guys. Thank you all. God bless you all. Thank you, Caleb. Thank you for being here. You are more than welcome to join the screen anytime you want if we're on one of these. Not now. It's 8:05, guys. So if anyone has anything else they want to close with. No?
Love you.
Love you guys.
Do it again.
Yeah, man. Anytime, I'll come.
All right, guys.
Thank you so much for the invite.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody, for being here.